The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah, online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode number 409 on deck. This is a show that I've been looking forward to. We've got some action to cover, essentially from coast to coast. Brian has made it here in the studio as well for number 409. Did you happen to come in on 5 and 20 today?
No, right down.
Came across the Ovid Street Bridge instead?
Yeah.
There was a Monterey Breezeway that was parked on Main Street.
Really?
Yeah. So I figured that some of our friends out there would be interested to know more about that. It did not appear to be for sale, nor did it appear to be anything that was destined for a derby in the near future, but it was a cool looking car.
Have you seen the white 67 that's been driving around Waterloo? It's Imperial?
Yeah. Did you see the price tag on it?
Yeah, it was Steve Travis's.
Okay, I thought that was a familiar car.
Allegedly, it sold for $10,000, and now the price went up $4,000 more.
It is worth whatever the buyer in front of you is willing to pay, right?
Truth.
At the end of the day.
About $1,500 knocked the windows out.
Right. I thought that's where you were going to go with that. So yeah, we'll be covering some of the stuff from Utah. We've got some stuff from Broome County, some stuff from Ontario County. Candace was in action. Candace Joe out there with Domination Motorsports. She got back in the car. We've got Jacob Prusman. He was in action, so we'll dive into some of that stuff here in a little bit. We'll recap some of the stuff from Smash It as well as they get ready for a busy weekend. J.D. Loreen, he scored some more points for the Unified Point Series. We'll be diving through all of that stuff here as we work through the show. But before we go too far into this one, I want to welcome a very special guest to the show tonight. Ron Pine is joining us here. He's in, not 100% sure exactly where he is in terms of his travels right now, but he's made some time for us, and I greatly appreciate him hanging out and making some time for us a little bit. Ron, 80 years old, picked up the win in LaPlata, and it was popular. It was all over Facebook. I saw there was a story that was on it in the local newspaper. And Ron, man, congratulations on the win, and I couldn't wait to talk to you because you're I think right now at this point you could probably be in the running with the Guinness Book of World Records.
Thank you.
We've talked, Brian, at length with Butch out here, and he was in his early 70s, and we talked about that couple out there on the West Coast that went from Washington to Arizona and back and forth, and they were in their upper 70s and still were running derbies pretty consistently. The husband and the couple had retired, but I think the wife was still active in it, and Troy John helped me get in touch with Ron here to come away with this win, and it was just so cool. Was the Legends Heat out there at LaPlata, was that something that was an invitation only? Was this something that you were looking forward to running?
No, it was we've had derbies there in Platte City for over 50 years, and they had a senior division this year. It opened to anybody over 50 years old.
Man, I'll be able to run it in a couple of years.
It was,
Yeah, right.
And then our derbies there in Platte City through the years have drawn tremendous car participation and crowd participation both. So it's a pretty fairly well-known derby.
So Ron, besides the congratulations for the win, I'm just wondering, how do you feel? I mean, I'm a few years younger. I'm just wondering how you're feeling today. I'm a few years younger, and I'm feeling good physically and really excited, just at my age I could get out and participate and do that. It was pretty exciting. Yes, for sure.
What was the catalyst to get you involved with Demolition Derby from the get-go?
What was the what now?
Your echo out of there. I was wondering what got you into Demolition Derby to begin with.
When we first started?
Yeah.
Oh, that was way back there, and we had maybe 15 or 20 cars, and literally those first cars, we took a car and rolled down the window and broke the glass and drove it to the track. We didn't. I mean, it left the gas tank. We didn't do anything to we might have taken the headlights out, maybe the tail lights. I don't know. Maybe we didn't, but this is in the very early 70s, and derbies were really in the very beginning. So that's where we started from up to where we are now. It's been a lot of progress.
There has been quite a bit of progress, and the amount of change that we've seen in the sport of demolition derby as a whole has been pretty well chronicled and pretty well documented. When I was leafing through to figure out sort of where demolition derby fell, I went to the Wikipedia page just to see what Wikipedia thought about demolition derby and how they defined it. And there was the original debate, which has raged forever, about whether it started in 1947 or whether it was Mendelssohn starting it in 1958 as an organized event. And then they identified that the demolition derby hit almost, so to say, the peak in popularity was in the 1970s. And I'm not 100% sure if I agree with that, but in terms of what the stock demolition derbies were in the 1970s, you know, that probably was when it was still, I guess you could say, the most purest element of the sport.
It really, I mean, literally, we got a car and we put a safety bar in the driver's door, and that was it. We left the starter, you know, neutral safety switch. If it died, you had to put it in gear or put it in park or put it in neutral, and there was no modification to the cars whatsoever.
Have you been running consistently since you started in the 70s?
There through the 70s, yeah, we ran real hard through the 70s. 2 years we went down to Astrodome to the national finals, or to the national derby there in the Astrodome. But
right, and
then even up through the 80s, 90s, and there was a time, in the early 2000s, 10 or 15, the derbies really took a dive down. It was hard to get over 8 or 10 cars to show up any derby at all.
We've heard that about that part of the country, with Missouri and Kentucky and Kansas having some real issues, but it was really been fortunate here the last several years. It seems like a number of those derbies have been able to bounce back.
They're going up big, but your cars aren't quite, we have to do a little more to them than we did back then to get them to go.
So Ron, back in the 70s, what was your car of choice?
Do what?
Back in the 70s when you were running, what was your car of choice to derby?
Well, we first started running, we'd take any car, any player, any time. It didn't make any difference. But as time started going, we found out that we were running Cadillacs a lot early. Believe it or not, some '59 Cadillacs. We drove some of those. We run a lot of '62, '63, '64 Cadillacs. And then we discovered that the old Galaxy Fords were the hard ones to beat. And we drove those for several years. But there again, as time went on, we started doing more. I remember when we moved the safety switch and took it out, that was a big deal. Moving the gas tank in the side was big. Setting the battery in the floorboard, those were big modifications for the time when we first started running. And actually, I was driving a '63 Ford last week when I drove that last derby. So, and then we later moved into the 72 to 76 Chevy station wagons. But by that time, we were kind of phasing out of it, and everybody else was into it. So we ran lots of '63, '64 Fords, and then in the middle 70s up to a '76 Chevrolet. The station wagon was our car of choice at that time.
Very good. It's just, I mean, just to listen to the cars he just listed off. I mean, that was pretty amazing. I mean, think about the stuff that they've ran and wrecked. That's just awesome.
It's just so cool to think about the fact that, you're on the front end of the round back, and it's still one of the premier cars in Demolition Derby. And I don't know that I've ever heard anybody really talk about the 59, 62, 63 Cadillacs as the car to go to, but it's such a, some of the premier cars that have had their heyday weren't even designed yet.
Yeah.
No, like say 71. My car that day was a 58 Buick. So,
Ron, if
71, they hadn't even started. Well, the 64 Fords were around for sure, but the Chevrolets and Fords are running now. No, they weren't. They've come a long ways with those cars.
Did you ever run any Imperials back in the day?
Do what?
Did you ever run any Imperials back in the day?
We had maybe 2 or 3, not very many. They were just a little hard to handle. But the thing is, at that time, they didn't know all the things you could do to a car. They were still basically, they weren't, we weren't changing them very much from pure stock.
Right.
I don't remember the first year that we started pulling the motor and transmission out. When we got through with an old car, it didn't make a difference how good it ran, how good it was. We just loaded her up and took her to the grinders. So we were, like I say, we were pretty much running stock cars. There wasn't anything you could do to them to modify them at all like what they're doing now.
It's so funny to think about that. Even going back into the 80s and 90s, somebody who at that point already been 15, almost, potentially running into 20 years in the sport. In hindsight, you're still hearing about the cars that if they didn't run right, we were just driving to the scrapper, and oh gosh, and today we're like, oh my gosh, you got $600 of bumpers on that car potentially,
Yeah, no
That's
kidding.
right. We would never. Most of the time, if a car wasn't running, we wouldn't even buy it. Once in a while, if we found a car we really liked that didn't have a motor wasn't running, we'd buy it. But for the most part, we didn't even switch motors. The factory stock motor that came in is what we were driving.
So what's the best factory stock motor from the eras that you came through?
Oh, we had really good luck with the Cadillac motors, and had good luck with the Fords.
Yeah.
The old Cadillacs, we got figured out one time that when we were driving driving that Cadillac, that we did better the second time we drove it than the first time. So we went over and just started draining the water out of the radiators and sit there and let that thing idle up, just get it just really, really hot, and then do that at the end of the day and let it cool off overnight. And then we started having pretty good success with those stock motors in the first time we ran them.
Hot blocking.
But like I say, I've never. We always run the stock motors.
That's so cool.
And transmissions. We did use a air conditioner core off of those cars. We mounted up on the top of the car, and we ran the cooling lines up to it, and we would cool it. Then we cool a transmission like that. It looked like we had the radiator of the car up on top there, and what it was the air conditioner for the radiator, and we run the transmission through that.
Ron, do you remember what you used to pay for cars back then?
Do what?
Do you remember what you used to pay for cars back then to run?
Whoops, you were breaking up on me there.
The cost of cars when you were buying cars back then, we hear stories about the cars in the 60s and 70s, even the 80s, you get them for $50 a case of beer.
Yeah, $100 was pretty standard price. I'm trying to think if we ever paid $200 for one of them. It was about $100 to buy you a car.
That's awesome.
Take it out to a derby and win 300 or 400, and if you're lucky, you get to run it two or three derbies, and you get $600-800, $1,000 out of it. We was making pretty good money.
Yeah, that's good money.
$800, $1,000 is what county fairs are still paying now.
No, that was after you had to win 2 or 3 derbies to get that kind of money.
Yeah.
I do remember one night we took a '63 Ford. We bought it on a Friday night. My little brother took it up, started working on it. I had to work at my business the next day, and so Saturday night we took that same car over to about 75 miles away from where we lived, and that year they paid $1,200 to win, and we started on that car and finished it in 24 hours and went out and won a $1,200 derby.
Wow.
That was just unheard of.
Right.
Wow. There's fairs that don't pay that now.
What?
There's fairs that put on derbies now and don't pay that much money.
Oh yeah, you could pay for your cars back then. I don't know how much you'd have to win to pay for one of those cars now, but we actually, when my son turned 16, I started letting him. We fixed him up some cars, and that's how he made his spending money all through high school, driving cars to what money he won, then sell the cars for junk. So that was his spending money all through high school.
That's awesome.
You said you had to work at your business. What were you doing then?
A barbershop. I'm still doing it.
That's right. You said that.
Yeah.
You said that today.
Yeah, I've been in the barber business down there for 62 years, 63.
Cow.
Still doing that.
And it doesn't, just in talking with you and earlier today and now, it doesn't seem like there's really any sign of that stopping either.
Well, we're staying busy. And I know I may be through driving. I'll look around and see if somebody passed 80 and a half drive, then I might have to give it one more try. But that's kind of my goal, to drive when I was 80, just because see what I could do it. And I don't know anyone that's ever done that before. So
not that I can place.
No.
And when that came across my news feed, I was like, wow, this is very cool.
It was fun, and I had a lot of people there that, they remember me from the early days. There wasn't too many people. It wasn't any people that I ran against in the early days running with me, but it was fun having all my friends come up, and we really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it, and it was fun.
What kind of car did you run, Ron?
'63 Ford.
Nice. That's awesome.
It was a '63 Galaxy.
Awesome.
Do you still have any cars at the compound?
Derby cars?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a '86 Lincoln, and I got a '72 Monte Carlo, but it's a rust bucket. It would just be something to go out and just ram and slam. You couldn't be too serious. It's not much metal in that one left, but the old Lincoln is it's solid. It's a good solid car. I probably won't drive it. I'll let Troy try that.
Troy Jones is the one that got us in touch.
He helped me fix my car up this year.
Yeah.
Did a lot of work. Did a good job on it. He and Amos helped me there, and wouldn't have got there without him.
I'm a little disappointed to hear that there might not be an encore performance next year, though.
Well, I haven't ruled it out. Like I say, I haven't ruled it out. But
what was Frank saying last week? Frank said as many times he tried to get out of the sport completely, walk away, and it would just pull him right back in. Over all the time that you spent building cars and running cars, and the success that you've had with the Galaxies and the evolution of the sport, where's the sport now for you? Is it in a better place than it was? Is it we know that it's in a different place, but is it in a better place?
I'm still old school. I still like the stock class.
Right.
But I mean, you've got to have a lot of talent just to build on these cars today. I mean, talent and a lot of knowledge and a lot of equipment, and it's amazing what they can do to a car.
Right.
You know, it's just absolutely amazing how they're building these cars. But I still enjoy the stock. I like, you know, you hit them in the side, they dent, and, you know, make a little noise. You can see you've been in a derby, and that's where I grew up with them, and I still like them. But like I said, it's an amazing deal what they're doing with the cars today.
At risk of putting you on the spot, because we're trying to encompass so much time, is there any particular car that you ran at any point, kind of like you had with that car that you put together in 24 hours and you took it and you guys won 1,200 with it? Is there any car or any derby event or any build or anything like that stands out in your mind over the course of your career? Because you've been able to see so much that we never had the chance to.
Oh, to say the least, it was a pretty big thrill. We went 2 years down to the National Destruction Derby in the Astrodome. That was pretty overpowering to an old country boy to take off and go down into something like the Astrodome and drive. That was, in fact, a friend of mine just a few miles away in that year, he got second place in the national derbies down there with us.
Right.
But he was over at the Derby, but he didn't drive this year. I was a little disappointed. I would like for him to have driven, but he wasn't feeling too good. So,
Ron, what kind of cars?
Those were 63 and 64 Fords we took down there to the Astrodome.
Awesome.
And
you see
this last one I drove, that was pretty exciting for me. Just at 80 years old, hop in a 63 Ford and go out there and ram and slam a little bit. It was fun.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It was.
It had to be. Remember we were talking about Brett Kirschner, the Mr. Kircher, not related, different. He ended up getting a win, and if I remember right, he had an old Ford as well.
Mm-hmm.
When he won in Pennsylvania. We were talking with Brent, and so that would.
I didn't hear all that. I'm sorry.
We had another gentleman that was kind of in a similar situation. He came back to Demolition Derby, actually. Brent Kirschner lives in eastern Pennsylvania, drives a lot of Mopars and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he was in a derby and ended up second place or third place, if I'm remembering the sequence right, to a gentleman with the last name of Kircher. And I had made the mistake thinking it was a relation, not paying attention to the spelling. It wasn't any relation, but it was a guy that had been doing it for forever, and he had come back to the sport, and he ran a Ford, and found some success with that, got the win, which was really cool. And it was a real pure stock build, a real basic build, which is, I think that still is one of the best things about Demolition Derby, especially at the county fair. There's a bell curve of everything. Not everybody's the extreme fan, and not everybody wants to see stuff that's so laden with plate. The casual fan wants to see the trunk falling off and the doors pushed to the transmission tunnel and steaming.
The old timers like to see them crushed up a little bit, and the trunk did fly and the doors fall off, and it's one of the old Cadillacs we drove one year when I was driving it. My little brother was driving another Cadillac, and it was a 4-door hardtop, and we had the back end beat off up to the tires, and he tore both doors off the passenger side. That car had a hood and a top, and the front fenders and the 2 side doors. It just about half the car was there, and it was still running.
That's awesome.
So that was a kind of a crowd kind of like that too.
For sure.
In the run at LaPlata, did you go out there and drive with the intention of winning it, or were you out there just to have a good time?
Oh, I figured I had a chance, had a good car, and I mainly wanted to drive, and it was really exciting to win it, but it was just being there was a pretty good challenge of its own. But I figured I had a sporting chance at winning it, so it worked out pretty good for me.
Was there a moment where you knew that it was going to be yours, that you had other cars around you were where you wanted them, and your car was doing what you wanted it to do, and the win was pretty much imminent?
Well, it's one of those where it was y'all, about three of us out there running around, and the other two quit pretty quick, so it didn't get down to a dog fight or anything like that. But it was still a good run. There was a lot of hard hitting. I was a target there. I spent a little time in the ditch trying to get out. That was kind of an exciting part of it. I was in the ditch. I think my car was sitting at about a 45-degree angle when I come out of that ditch. No, it was, like I said, I figured I had a chance, but I was just worked out that I did win it.
I know we'd probably have a good time if we ever asked Brett this, but it would be a long and winding story. And I'm afraid that Ron's probably got even more of a catalog to go through. But I was wondering, Ron, if any of the particular hits that you were able to dole out, that when you put it in reverse and backed away, or the amount of carnage that you left on another competitor, if there was ever a particular derby that stands out in your mind where when you backed away, you're like, wow, I really hit that car.
We've had some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the back when I was driving a Chevy station wagon, we had some of those great big old hits that were, just big monster hits.
Right.
And but I didn't get a chance. Like the old boy was in second place, I was going to line up around him, and he broke his stick, so it was just kind of came to a quiet little finish. Didn't get to have a dog fight down the stretch.
It's just awesome that you were looking to have that fight. That's great, man.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's that generation, man. There's a reason, that's an amazing generation. My dad is 84, and he doesn't derby, but man, he does everything else. You know what I mean? It's just a great generation Ron's a part of.
How about on the flip side? Anybody ever blast you and get your attention?
Yeah. They did a little of that the other night. Because I knew most of the people in the thing, and they'd been with me, running. They actually, a lot of them were running when we were putting it on too, and so we knew a lot of the drivers in there. So yeah, it didn't bother them to hit an old man. I can tell you that for sure.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. I was just wondering, from like back in the day when everything was so stock and so stripped down. It was, the premier cars were different cars back then. If there was ever a time when you were traveling around with your brother, if there was one of those hits in the formative years of Demolition Derby when you were getting into it that stuck out in your mind too.
Well, one time I was an old boy. This is back when they wasn't, he was driving a Chrysler, and he flipped the spring shackles over.
Okay.
And he came across the track, and he ended up his rear wheels were on my front fenders. I could have changed the rear end grease in that car sitting in the window. But he came up to get me, and he did. But he literally was both back wheels were up on my fenders.
Wow.
And the bumpers up probably right over my head.
That's crazy.
So that was memorable, but not on the wrong way on it.
Ron, when you guys ran in the Superdome, how many people were there? I mean, was it full?
I didn't hear. I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
If the Superdome, was it full? Well, how many people were there when you guys were running at the Superdome?
There was 150 cars, and there was 50,000 people watching.
Wow. Can you imagine that?
Does that answer your question?
Oh my God.
That's pretty overwhelming, I'll tell you for sure.
Holy cow.
And to get second in that.
No.
Ron was saying that his buddy got second place.
Yeah, Gerald Lindsley from Smithfield, he got second. I finished about third in the feature. About 10th in the feature.
Wow.
And that's a day like fix-it plates weren't a thing.
Yeah, no, you just.
It's what?
Well, today, there's all this heavy emphasis on fix-it plates and being able to, after you run a heat, being able to put additional plating on the car and you get the car to,
down there, we never did that.
yeah.
We never welded anything on. We never, we just, in fact, I can remember when they first started welding the door shut. That was pretty innovative to do that. And then the same guy that got second in the Astrodome, he had an Imperial and he welded all the doors solid on it. Gave him a pretty good advantage over the rest of the cars out there for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But that, it wasn't anything building like they do today at all. It was pretty much stock car.
Right.
So
today we hear all of. Go ahead.
It's come a long ways.
Today we hear so much about doubling tires and skid steer tires and worrying about that kind of stuff.
No,
I know that wasn't a thing for much of the peak of your career, so to say. But was there still a set of tires that you tried to get your hands on that seemed to do better?
We would run those 670 15 6-plies all the way around. A pickup tire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was as big as we ever put on them. Put a tube in them. 6-ply with a tube. They were pretty much stock cars.
I know. I just can't get over the fact that it helps put it in better perspective how far the sport has come to where we are right now.
From the very first car I drove, like I say, that day I went out there and took a grater blade, put down the driver's door, and knocked some of the glass out, and literally had it put back into park or neutral if it died. It was they were stock. I'm telling you.
Yep. It's very cool. Well,
so they've come a long ways. They've done a lot of innovative things on the Derby cars.
For sure. Have you had the chance to travel at some of these big full weld shows, like some of the shows that we talk about frequently, Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash?
No, I haven't. I haven't been to too many of them. I just been busy at the shop working and everything, so I haven't traveled around to a lot of the different derbies. Kind of slowed down a lot, you have to slow down driving and putting on. We promoted several of them there for several years. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And but I've never been to. I've been to some of them, but not too many.
Gotcha. Well, I just thought it was awesome that you picked up that win and wanted to take a minute and recognize the effort there and say hi and catch up for a few minutes. And congratulations on all the success. It's just really, really cool all the way around to be able to get a chance to talk to somebody that went through the eras of all of it front to back and just express our appreciation to you for sticking with the sport for as long as you have.
Well, I thank you for doing that. And like I said, it's made a big full cycle. So
that it sure has. I know you had stuff that you had to get to. We've kept you for a half hour, which already was longer than I was expecting to have you on. But I mean, there's so many questions. Is if when things settle down, maybe if we get to a point in the off season, is there any chance maybe we could catch up with you again and see how the rest of the summer went?
Oh, sure, yeah. Just be glad to talk with you any time.
That'd be great.
Like I say, if you've got some questions of what happened when and what was going on there, I'd be glad to tell you what. I can tell you a lot more where it started than where it is right now.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that we need to hang on to, because this is the type of, for whatever reason, this is the type of sport where nothing really gets documented unless it gets passed down from generation to generation. And man, to be able to just get some of that stuff, it means a lot. It's one of the things that we always look forward to. Brian can, tell me.
Yeah,
tell me if I go astray.
I would love sometime to get one and use the old rules and everything and have a derby. I would love to do that. Promote it and let these people see what it's like. See where we started from.
Absolutely. Well, did you have any final thoughts?
No,
for
it's
Ron?
just it's just great.
No, everything's going well.
No, just great to talk to Ron, and happy for his
Appreciate
win.
getting a chance to visit with you.
No, just like I said, just happy to talk to Ron, and happy to hear the beginnings, and would love to talk to him again.
Yep. Is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of, Ron, that helped you get to the track there to go win that event at LaPlata?
Say that again, please.
Was there anybody that you wanted to make mention of?
I still didn't. I'm here.
Any sponsors? Anybody that gave you a hand? Any
I
plugs
never,
for the barbershop?
No, I tell you what, I don't think I ever had anybody pay me a penny for sponsorship. It was all on my own.
Right?
Never thought about it. Never thought about it.
Never thought you'd have to do a NASCAR style interview, huh?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, not quite the NASCAR style.
Well, Rod,
but you look where NASCAR is now, and you look back in 1963. Old Tiny Ludd won the Daytona Beach with a 63.5 Ford, and it looked just like a 63.5 Ford. So so you see motorsports come up in the Derby, but you look where the NASCAR started and where they are now. So just evolves around, makes a big circle.
Ron, I got to be honest. When you started talking about Tiny Lund winning in a 63.5 Ford and winning at Daytona, I really hoped that you were going to finish that story that you had bought that car, cut it up, and derbied it.
Well, we can tell you any story. I'll guarantee you one thing. I bet he had a little bigger motor than we had. We run 289 and 352s every now and then, but we never had a big old motor.
Sure.
We run just pretty much whatever came out in the car. But
right on.
Yeah, he had a little different motor. Probably one of the old lightweight Fords.
Probably. Ron, I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us for a little while. This has been excellent, and I hope everything goes well at home, and stay busy with that barbershop, and I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right. Appreciate you taking time to call, and appreciate it.
Of course. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, sir.
All right, thank you. Anytime.
There goes Ron Pine.
Thank you now.
You bet. You'll see that
Bye.
now. There goes Ron. And I was thinking this after I got off the phone with him, the conversation went almost exactly how I expected it to.
Mm-hmm.
First I called, and then the service broke up, so I couldn't quite hear what he was saying. And he was really, really apprehensive talking to somebody with a phone number that he didn't know.
Yep.
And I said, I'm trying to reach Ron Pine. And he goes, what's your question? But then it broke the ice, and it was excellent. And after I talked with him, I was thinking about I think last week we were talking about Bob Rogers and Rebel Key, and I got talking with my dad after the show. We talked about the Benjamins around here, Harold and Betty, and today Carl Hadley popped into my head, and we haven't really had the chance to bump into him in any of our travels here lately. But it was just so cool, because there's not going to be an era where, whoops, I probably should have changed that, my mistake. There's not going to be an era where I don't think anyway, where the 58 or 61, 62 Cadillac is going to come back to prominence at this point. But
no, probably not.
Just so cool. And you knew what he was talking about, which caught me off guard, because I didn't know what he was talking about I understand they run the best after they get hot, but I didn't know that hot blocking was a thing. So what exactly was?
It's just
is that an old school trick? I've never come across that.
To be completely honest, I've never done it myself. I don't even know what the theory is, but I've just heard of people doing that. They'll take all the water out of a engine and just let it idle. And once it gets boiling hot and I guess it wouldn't be boiling, but once it gets super hot, they shut it off and let it cool off, and then in theory it runs better. I don't know why. I don't know.
Stretches out. There's less resistance, right?
But when it cools off, it's got to come back to somewhat normal shape. But
it worked.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was cool to hear him say that. But I mean, literally, he was, the beginning. I mean, they still had neutral safety switches. They still had everything.
And I don't want anybody to think that we're overlooking, we've had great conversation with Butch Sisko, and, I don't think that we've ever had the chance actually to get Harold Benjamin up here. We've had Mark up here who's shared a lot of stories, and, there's been a lot of people that, like the couple that we talked about out there on the West Coast, there's been a lot of people that have done this, but I haven't heard anybody that hit the age of 80 and was still Derby. And
yeah, that's awesome.
And it wasn't like it was somebody that just showed up at the track and said, "Hey, I'm going to go try to win this. I'm going to go try to win this Derby," because they're inviting, past stars or however they phrased it. He's been running all along.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And nobody ever gave him a penny for sponsorship.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's obvious though. It's an addiction. Excuse me. Like Frankie said, it's hard to just walk away. I mean, I took a few years off and came back, and it's an addiction.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's take a quick break, and we'll re-rack. We'll be back right after this.
Show stern.
Nope, it's not. We're gonna do this one. There we go.
Where'd you go?
We did do a derby.
Ow, my head! You want to do a derby?
Hey Derby World, this is All For Him Racing Videos, where Derby never ends. We have people come up and ask, what is All For Him Racing Videos? And the answer is a YouTube channel dedicated to growing the sport of demolition derby in a positive and fun way. Our passion is to show the next generation the sport and capture the memories for generations to come. We're just trying to show that you can be a Christian, do crazy and exciting things like demolition derby, and just spread the word. We have traveled all over the country filming events, all while meeting many great people, hearing amazing stories, seeing the passion for this sport, and falling in love with the Derby community. We have grown to be the largest demolition derby channel on YouTube across the world, with millions of views within our large library of videos. We love what we do and can't wait for what the future has in store. We always want to be a place for positive, exciting, and action-packed derby videos. Thank you, Derby World, and enjoy the videos.
Jeffy's Fab Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia specializes in all of your demolition derby needs. We've got you covered from bumper to bumper. Whether you need headers, shifters, harnesses, fueling systems, or complete turnkey setups, Jeffy'sFabFarm.com can help. We've even got a Canadian branch to help our northern customers. With over 16 years in the industry, we've got the knowledge and experience needed to provide the highest quality parts and put you in the winner's circle. Visit our website today or call Jeff at 540-907-3390. Fabby says the best parts come from the farm. Jeffy'sFabFarm.com.
Demolition Derby Life magazine releases 12 copies a year and covers all of the action coast to coast for the Demolition Derby world, home of the hottest action motorsports magazine on the market. There's over 30 editions that have been published to date. A full year subscription is $119, and past issues are available. They should be coming out with another release here in the coming weeks. Make sure you jump online and follow along. Find out more about Lexi Droz and everything going on with Demolition Derby Life magazine on DemolitionDerbyLife.com. Smash It Demolition Derby is in action tonight. Preble County and Greene County both scheduled to go off this evening. Looks like the school buses are on the schedule for tonight at Preble County. Auglaize County is on the 4th, and Pike County and Preble County are both scheduled for the 6th. August the 7th is Columbiana County, and then Hartford Independent Fair on the 9th. On the 11th is Athens, and then on the 12th it is Champaign County. And some results from the 31st of July. All of these events were contested on the 31st of July with Smash It Preble County Pro Stock. Levi Lovely from Camden got the win in the Pro Stock. Smash It Mini Class William Maddy from Shelbyville. Full size Street Stock Group 1, Landon Lovely got the win there, and Alex Alameda Rose got the win in Group 2. Street Stock Mini Group 1, Brian Walgas from Middletown, Ohio got the win there. Street Stock Mini Group 2, J.D. Lorraine from Claysville, and then Street Stock Mini Truck Van SUV, Josh Lewis got the win. He's from West Alexandria. And Shelby County Pro Stock went to Jeff Woodard from Sydney. Pro Stock Mini was Jarvis Bodenmiller from Sydney. Street Stock was David Rossaware from Wapakoneta, Ohio. Street Stock Mini, Doug Lewis from Urbana. And then Street Stock Minivan Truck, Dylan Christian got the win there. He's from Sydney. In Claremont County, Pro Stock, Tyler Collins got the win from Sabina. Pro Stock Mini was Fred Schaefer from Georgetown. Street Stock was Jansen McCord. And then Street Stock Mini was Tyler Collins. Keep up to date with all of the rules, classes, and information and results and the upcoming county fair schedule online for Smash It Demolition Derby with smashitderby.com. And just wanted to follow up, Broome County was over the weekend. Trent Decker got his first win, if I'm not mistaken, got the win in the vans. So that was good to see that. I don't know if you saw Wasatch Wipeout was over the weekend. Tyson Shelley, he set the world on fire. He was wrecking stuff all over the place.
Cool.
As they would.
Yeah.
As they would. I didn't hear much about Ontario County over the weekend, though. I wasn't able
The
to.
only thing I saw was that Donnie Hartzell got Mad Dog.
Oh, good for him. Good deal.
Also at Broome, Kylie Gully picked up a win. I don't know if it was her first, but she picked one up.
I think she's got wins before.
Does she?
Yeah.
And
I'm
Brett
pretty
picked
sure.
up like his 92nd win at Broome County.
Did he?
Yeah.
Good deal.
And I didn't even know what class they called it, but it was V8. So
Kylie had that PT Cruiser.
yeah, which Jeremy absolutely loves and wants to sell all his Camrys and get more PT Cruisers.
What? Why might that be?
I'm being sarcastic. I'm hoping to get her out of PT Cruisers. I told him afterwards, I congratulated him on the win, and I said, "You realize you're not getting her out of a PT Cruiser now." So,
No.
they'll probably be hauling some more in. But yep, the Whitney Point was over the weekend.
That was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw Candace. Candace had some action over the weekend on Friday. She went to Lincoln, Nebraska, and she took second place.
Nice.
Friday, I misspoke. Friday, they went to Wahoo, Nebraska. She got second place. Guess who won?
I don't know.
If you had to guess, any Midwest compact driver that might have won a show in Nebraska.
Probably somebody from Cadillac Compacts or Compact.
Would Kevin Ullman's name pop into your mind?
Yeah, that would be the one.
He got the win. And then Candace got the win over Kevin at Lincoln on Saturday. So that was
It was nice when the shut off for her.
yeah, I don't think that was the case. Those cars got a pretty good workout. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures, the inspection line, those Imperials that were coming through, some of the Mopars and stuff that were in action. It was good to see.
The other day I was searching the YouTube for some stuff, and the Imperial Heat from Lewis County, which is spinning wheels, was on. Oh man, did they put on a show! Holy cow, that was a fun one to watch. Zach and I actually watched that together Saturday night.
Adrian, that was the one that Adrian won that we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he put on a real good show. It's great to see. But yeah, we watched that, and then Zach and I watched the video from Waterloo from the week before. I hadn't seen it; he'd watched it once. But then we started searching, and we found some older stuff. And then, for whatever reason, he went to our DVD cabinet, and he's like, "I want to see some of the old derbies, from
The old derbies, like
from you."
no, because I don't have anything that's old.
Well, for him, it's old.
Stop.
But he found a bunch of cases with the DVDs weren't in them. So
Where are the DVDs?
I don't know, somewhere in my house. I don't know.
Great.
But we ended up finding a couple on YouTube, and
I think all the metal destruction stuff's up there.
yeah, I don't think the full. I think it's just like snippets, like highlights. Like I don't think
You have nowhere to look.
you're gonna have to tell me because I would want that. I would
think
like to
so.
see those.
I think so. I still have there's some stuff that I still have the master copies of that if anybody wanted, I could theoretically make another copy. I still have the computer tower, and it'll still burn discs from the master menus, but there's one of the big drives that had everything on it won't boot anymore.
It's too bad. There was some cool stuff. Like you said, man, it's too bad that nobody respected Derby enough to write down results, especially of big shows. You know what I mean? Like, when Tori had Metal Mayhem. He did a nice job there.
Of keeping track.
Yeah, of keeping track of the
icons, jackets.
Yeah.
You can pick somebody out, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if the new guy has continued with that or not, but Tori did a pretty good job of that on the Derby Icons website. But.
Sure did. Austin Johnson, we talked about him. Jacob Prusman, he had a pretty good night. I don't know if you saw. I think he was at I want to say it right, Indianola. But he got second place in bone stock, and the post that he made said that he ran out of tires.
That happens.
So I'm assuming if it's bone stock, the likelihood isn't that they were solid. They were probably doubled, most likely, right? At this point of Demolition Derby's evolution, because where he runs bone stock is a very different thing than it is out here.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so that means that he popped all 8.
I've seen that before.
But he also got first place in a Mad Dog in the mod class.
Oh, that's cool.
So I mean, that's
Good night.
Yeah.
Well, Newhoffen, I think, picked up 2 wins again.
Again.
Yeah. So he's, we used to see him in Minnesota. I mean, he was definitely a star of the show up there, Winter Slam. So we saw him a couple times at Topeka. He took a little time off, but it appears he is back on the Derby circuit with a tear. So it's great to see. I mean, he was a great young man and great driver builder. So it's good to see him.
And he's one of those guys that I wish nothing but the best for him.
Yep.
Because he has traveled a challenging road in the 10 years that we've known Colton. And man, to see him back at the level that he's performing right now, I really hope that trend continues on the upswing, because there's too many times where the story didn't have that ending.
Yep.
So
It's great to see.
That's very good to see, for sure. We got to wrap this thing up here in the next few minutes. We're going to tell you about a few more things, and then we'll get out of here. Frankie Guy's going to enjoy some well-earned time off here in the next couple of weeks. August 12th is the next scheduled date for the 2022 Hardcore Tour, Chaos and Coal Country in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Hardcore Compacts, the Hobby Stocks, and the Power Wheels on the schedule there. August 13th and 19th is Washington Warzone in Washington, Pennsylvania. Night 1 is Hardcore Limited Weld, full-size bone stock, youth full-size SS Compacts and the Power Wheels. And then on the 19th, Hardcore Compacts, Hobby Stock, Minivan, and SUV and the Power Wheels there. And then that is going to bring us to Labor Day Lockdown, the big event every year in Stoneboro, Pennsylvania. September the 3rd is going to include the Hobby Stocks, the Youth Compacts, Street Stock Compacts, Minivans, and trucks, full-size trucks, and the Power Wheels. And then the 4th is going to be Youth full-size, Hardcore Limited Weld, Hardcore Compact, full-size bone stock, and Power Wheels. Results coming in from the Jacktown Fair. Hardcore Compacts winner was Nathan Yeager. Fan choice was Justin Yeager. Hardcore Hammer was Brandon Cook and Justin Yeager. Hobby Stock winner was Dennis Hogan. He also took home the Hardcore Hammer Award. Follow along with all the information on the very, very busy Facebook page and check out all the photos from the action at the Jacktown Fair. And also you can follow along with upcoming events, hardcorederbypromotions.com. RPM Group is a progressive waste management business serving nearly 4,000 residents and businesses around Owego, New York. RPM Group can take care of all your waste management needs. Boasting a fleet of 2 roll-offs and 6 garbage trucks, RPM is fully insured and ready to serve. Ask about asbestos abatement and surveys, interior and exterior demolition, private parties and foreclosures, curbside trash and recycling, all that and more. Click or call, ask for Corey, tell him you heard about him here at the Crash Course Nationals, rpmgroupny.com, or 607-223-8714. Iron City Nationals are coming up in a little under 2 months. Friday the 9th is going to be opening night stock compacts, the big wing class, 2-man extreme class, and super stock. Heat number 1, pits open at 8 a.m. Saturday the 10th follows up with Power Wheels, Most Wanted Fine Art, Street Stock Challenge, full-size youth class, and then the second and third 10,000 win championships. Pits open at 7 a.m. It's at the New Alexandria Lions Club, 1874 Lions Club Road, New Alex, Pennsylvania. IronCityPromos.com for additional details. The Super Stocks, all 3 flights are going to be paying 10,000 win and a championship belt. The Big Wayne Heavyweight class, 2,500 and a championship belt. 2-man Extreme class, 2,000 to win. Stock Compacts, 1,500 to win. 1,500 to win. Street Stock Challenge, and then the Youth Full Size, $700, a championship belt, and a fresh 9802 Crown Vic. That's all waiting for the winners at the Iron City Nationals. We're going to be going over the list a little bit later on. Online for details, IronCityPromos.com. Oh, would you look at that? The Unified Point Series update didn't load for us. All right. Well, we can take a quick pause with that and reorganize that side of things. JD Loreen was in action over the weekend, and he's basically focusing on point shows at this point because he's out in front. And you know who's chasing him?
Don Santel.
Steven Sickles.
Oof. Yeah, that's going to be a good battle. Seems like every show Sickles goes to, he scores. You know, it seems like every show he runs, he's top 3. So it's, you know, if JD beats him, man, he's going to earn it because Sickles is, you know, it's rare. And I mean, it's rare for him to have bad luck. Like, I mean, obviously he's an excellent builder and driver, but, you know, it seems like sooner or later, you know, there's some sort of bad luck. You get caught wrong but man, it's very rare to see that happen to Sickles. So it's going to be a barn burner for the rest of the season.
I think so. I think it's going to be an excellent time to be following along with that.
Oh, yeah.
And what I also heard was that I read Mark Elliott's update, and Steven Sickles is one of the only people that's been grinding the tour for all 3 seasons.
Yep.
And he's up to number 2. So Mark was kind of wrestling with the idea, what's better? Is it better to have a repeat champion? Which is, I mean, what an accomplishment to do that twice. Or is it better to have 3 different champions in 3 different years?
Oh, I look at it this way. I mean, you know, for Steven to be able to chase it, you know, that's very impressive. You know, obviously not a lot of guys are able to. And I would say to be the best, you got to beat the best. So if he wins it and earns it, man, that's kind of throwing a gauntlet down.
Right.
I would feel. You know, and for anybody that does beat him, I mean, you're going to earn it. You know, we just discussed that. So, you know, if you watch the big tours, you know, the traveling tours, I mean, it's the same guys year after year that are at the top. That you know that's what you aspire to do, and that's how you aspire to run. So, you know, I think it's always good to have somebody out there chasing, to know where you have to have your game to be the man to win that battle.
Oh, well, let's give you a little update on where things are at for the Unified Point Series, and we'll come back and we'll wrap the show. There has been a bunch of action in the Unified Point Series since last time we were together, and we're looking at more coming up this week. The closing night for Preble is the next event on the schedule on the 6th of August, and that's in Eaton, Ohio, with Smash It Demolition Derbies. On August the 13th is Hardcore Promotions Washington Warzone in Washington, Pennsylvania, and then Big Boy has the Derby in Mercer. That's in Salina, Ohio, on the 18th of August, before TNT has Berrien Springs and Oceana to round out the month of August. Both those events are up in Michigan. The leaderboard, J.D. Loreen has put down the gauntlet. He's up to 98 points. Steven Sickles is into new ground. He has chased for all 3 years. He won the championship last year. Now he's just 18 points behind J.D. Loreen. Ty Richards still hanging in there in 3rd place. Don Santel 4th. 5th is Bill Miller, Trevor Jones, Cody Klumke, Scotty Drevenak, Corey Buddy, Dennis Hogan, Daryl Myers. In that 3-way tie back there for 9th with 28 points each. The only 2 people that have scored in the last couple weeks here have been JD and Steven Sickles that are currently inside that top 10 right now. And there's a lot of auditing going on as we speak as well, making sure that there's no errors or anything in the point standings thus far. Mark Elliott said that there are only 15 events left on the schedule here as we march towards crowning a 2022 Unified Point Series champion. Stay up to date with all the events and all of the results and updates on 527unifiedseries.com. And we have to remember that the series started last year.
Yeah.
The first derby was on the 31st.
How crazy is that? I asked Jeremy, that was Kylie's first win.
It was? I thought for sure that maybe she's just accustomed to pulling down Mad Dogs.
That could be it. That runs in the family.
It does happen.
Yeah, so that was her first win. This week is I was talking to Jeremy and the other day, and this week they're at Morris twice, and they have I think they have 2 other derbies this week. So this is their hell week where they're all over. So
yeah, they bounce back. Is it GDS? They go down.
I don't remember.
Down in Pennsylvania, they bounce back and forth.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 in Morris. So busy week for those guys. They'll be all over. But yipper.
Yep, it's been a good one. Tonight, when we sign off, 4 minutes from right now, 4 minutes, Impact is going to be opening up the registration for the Demo Cross and the Derby Figure 8 at Sutton. It's opening at 7 o'clock. Link is going to be posted on the Impact page. Some classes are limited, so if they sell out, the pre-registration is done. If they sell out, it's done. There's not going to be any day of. Any classes with openings are going to be allowed to register at the fair, and Impact sends out their thanks to that one. The Fall Brawl logo. Did you see the new one?
I have not.
Fall Brawl Reborn.
I'll have to check it out.
It's like this copper and black. It's a really neat logo.
Cool.
Shade did it. Same person that did Fabby and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
so
he does a lot of work for those guys.
Knocked another one out of the park. And the Impact Youth drivers are registered for the Youth Nationals in New Alex, thanks to Hardcore Derby and Smith Metalworks. Aiden Golden, Braden Norman, Dryden Merritt, Jaden Adams, and Cole Woodham representing Impact at the Youth Nationals in New Alex coming up here. So they're going to be headed down there. And I think that brings us to the last item on our ledger, unless we have forgotten something.
What's that?
No, that was the last item on our ledger. Unless
You
we
said, meaning we have another one.
No.
No, I think you hit it all as usual. Busy weekend is.
I didn't catch up with everything that was in California. I know there was some stuff that was going on out there, but I really wanted to try to make a point to get a hold of Ron before the summer got away from us. And just, man, I can't say thanks enough to Troy for getting us that information so that we could do that.
It was cool. So I think we got a message, something going on with YouTube. So I don't know. You'll have to check our messages on the Crash Course site.
Okay. I'll take a look at it.
Alrighty.
That sounds good. All right, we're out. We'll see everybody again next time. We'll get it all taken care of, and we'll see where we're at from there. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see everybody back here again next week.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.